Welcome to After Hours, where stories come alive after dark. I'm Vaughn, your host. And yes, after 9 episodes, I figured it was time you knew my name. We've been on this journey together now for a while. Every night, you show up, you tune in, you follow Marcus and Desiree deeper into the darkness. I see you out there. The comments, the theories, the questions about what happens next. So let me say this directly. Thank you for being here, for listening, for staying with me after hours. Now, where were we? Previously on The Inheritance, Marcus and Desiree met with Elena Vance in Philadelphia. She handed over Layer 4, the operational files, the protocols, the playbook the Council has used for 50 years to maintain power, and the codebook, the master cipher that decrypts 20 years of Council communications, every kill order, every payment, every conspiracy. Now readable. But Elena warned them, releasing this evidence won't just expose the 7. It will expose everyone connected to them. Politicians, judges, executives, some of them victims themselves, trapped with no good choices. Revolutions have casualties. Now, Marcus and Desiree are back at the cabin in the Catskills. 4 layers secured, 2 remaining, and Protocol 7 is in full effect. Federal warrants, frozen accounts, their faces in every database. The Council is closing in. This is Episode 10, The Contingency. 3 days in the Catskills. 3 days of reading through Elena's files. 3 days of understanding exactly how deep the Council's roots went. The operational protocols were worse than I'd imagined. Not just corruption. A system. A machine designed to identify threats, compromise them, and if compromise failed, eliminate them. Desiree was at the table, cross-referencing names from the files with the testimonies we'd gathered at Bank Street. Finding connections. Building a map. Marcus, come look at this. What did you find? The federal prosecutor. The one on the tape. The one Whitmore ordered killed in 1994. His name was Daniel Okonkwo. Nigerian? 2nd generation. Howard Law School. Youngest federal prosecutor in the Southern District at the time. He's on the memorial wall at Bank Street. Photo number 17. I didn't make the connection until now. Daniel Okonkwo. A name. A face. A man who tried to do the right thing and was murdered for it 32 years ago. He wasn't just a case number anymore. He was real. How many others? I've matched 23 names so far. From the protocols to the testimonies. 23 people whose deaths I can now directly connect to Council operations. And that's just the ones we have documentation for. Vera, we're still here. Good. Because we have a problem. What kind of problem? The cabin may be compromised. Maybe? One of my contacts in federal law enforcement flagged unusual activity. A request for satellite imagery of the Catskills region. Specifically, properties registered to shell companies associated with Victor's network. In background. They know where we are? Not yet. The request went through a council-friendly channel, but it hasn't been fulfilled. Bureaucratic delays. We have maybe 48 hours before they narrow down the location. Then we leave. And go where? Every safe house I have is potentially compromised. Protocol 7 means they're watching everything. Every known associate. Every property. Every financial trail. What about the remaining layers? 5 and 6? That's why I'm calling Layer 5. The contingency cache. Your father set it up as insurance. Duplicate evidence. Emergency funds. Alternate identities. Where? That's the problem. I don't know. You don't know? Victor kept layers 5 and 6 completely separate from the rest of the network. No one knows where they are, except whoever he trusted most. Whoever he trusted most. My father, who trusted no one. Who kept secrets from everyone. Who built an entire network on compartmentalization and paranoia. Who would he have trusted with his final contingencies? Elena? Already asked? She doesn't know. The woman at the Ashford Hotel? She only knew about the letter and the key. Victor told her nothing else. Marcus, think. Your father spent a year building this. He was meticulous. He would have left a way for you to find layers 5 and 6. Like the code? The numbers? Maybe. Or maybe something else. Something only you would recognize. You have 48 hours. Find the contingency cache. Get the duplicate evidence and the emergency resources. Then get out of that cabin before the council finds you. 48 hours. Maybe less. I went through everything again. The letters. The wooden box. The contents of all 4 layers. Looking for something I'd missed. A pattern. A code. A message meant only for me. What about the book? What book? The one in the photos. At the Ashford Hotel, when Victor was staying there. The hotel clerk mentioned he always had a book with him. I don't remember any book. There was something in the locker at Grand Central. We left it behind. She was right. In the rush to grab the wooden box, we'd left everything else. The manila envelopes. The burner phones. And yes, I remembered now. There had been something else. A leather-bound book, tucked in the corner. The locker's been cleared. Wexler's people would have taken everything within hours. Unless they didn't know what they were looking for either. What do you mean? The council wants the evidence destroyed. They want you silenced. But do they know about the layer system? Do they understand how Victor organized everything? If they cleared the locker, they probably just grabbed everything and brought it somewhere for analysis. Which means the book might still exist. Somewhere in their possession. That doesn't help us. No. But it means there might be copies. Marcus, your father was meticulous. You said it yourself. Would he really have only one copy of whatever map leads to layers 5 and 6? Copies. Redundancies. Contingencies for his contingencies. That was Victor Cole. Never one plan when you could have 3. Never one location when you could have 6. The Ashford Hotel. What about it? He stayed there regularly for a year. The clerk said he was there every few weeks. Always the same room. What if he left something there? Something they don't know about. The council would have searched his usual locations. Would they? The Ashford isn't connected to any business. It's not in any financial records. It's just a sentimental location. His wedding night with my mother. They might not even know it exists. We left the cabin at midnight. Drove back roads toward the city. Avoiding highways. Avoiding cameras. The Ashford Hotel was a risk. If the council had connected Victor to the location, they'd be watching. But if they hadn't, it was the only lead we had. What if the clerk isn't there? It was a different day. Different shift. Then we figure out another way. And if the council is watching, then we're walking into a trap. You say that very calmly. I'm not calm. I'm just out of other options. Marcus. Yeah? Whatever happens tonight. Whatever we find or don't find. I don't regret this. Any of it. You should. I dragged you into... You didn't drag me anywhere. I chose this. I chose you. 12 years ago, I chose a man who was clearly hiding something. Who had walls around his heart so thick I spent years trying to find a door. I didn't marry you because you were easy, Marcus. I married you because I knew. Somehow I knew. That when those walls finally came down, there would be someone worth knowing on the other side. I didn't have words. I'm not sure there were words for what I felt in that moment. Gratitude, shame, love so overwhelming it hurt. I reached over and took her hand, and we drove toward the city in silence. The Ashford at 2 a.m. was almost empty. A night clerk behind the desk, young, different from the woman I'd met before. A security guard in the corner, half asleep, to clerk. I'm hoping you can help me. My father was a regular guest here, Victor Cole. He passed away recently. I'm sorry for your loss, sir. Thank you. I was wondering if you might have left anything behind. In his usual room, or perhaps in the hotel's storage. I can check our records. Cole, you said? Victor Cole. He stayed here regularly over the past year. Ah, yes. Mr. Cole. Room 412. He had a standing reservation. There's a note in his file. Personal items in hotel safe. To be released only to family with proper identification. My heart stopped. Personal items? That's what it says. Would you like me to retrieve them? Please, whispered. He knew. He knew you'd come back here, whispered. He knew everything. Here you are, Mr. Cole. A lockbox. The key was left with instructions that you would know the combination. A lockbox. Metal. About the size of a shoebox. With a 3-digit combination lock. I would know the combination. Because of course I would. 2204. Inside the lockbox. A leather-bound journal. 3 USB drives. A thick envelope. And a folded note in my father's handwriting. Marcus, if you're reading this, you've made it further than I dared hope. You've found the layers. You've gathered the evidence. And now you need the contingency. The journal contains the locations of layers 5 and 6. Both are under your mother's maiden name, Adeize Obi. One is a safe deposit box at First National Bank in Newark. The other is a storage unit in Queens. Layer 5 contains duplicate evidence, copies of everything you've already collected, plus additional documentation I gathered in my final months. Layer 6 contains resources, cash, passports, credit cards, everything you need to disappear if it comes to that. The USB drives in this box are something different. They contain the dead man's switch. Dead man's switch. If you've come this far, you know the risks. You know the council will do anything to stop you. So I built a failsafe. The 3 USB drives contain encrypted packages set to automatically transmit to major news organizations, federal agencies, and international law enforcement if a specific server doesn't receive a check-in signal every 72 hours. I've been maintaining that check-in for the past 8 months. Since my death, Elena has been doing it. She used the credentials I gave her, but Elena is leaving the country, which means someone else needs to take over. The instructions are in the journal. The login credentials are on a card inside the envelope. The next check-in is due in 31 hours. If you don't check in, the evidence releases automatically. Everything. To everyone. It's your insurance, Marcus. As long as you maintain the dead man's switch, the council has a reason to negotiate instead of eliminate. If they kill you, everything comes out. It's not perfect protection, but it's something. I love you, son. I wish I could have given you a better inheritance than this. A dead man's switch. If we don't check in every 72 hours, everything releases automatically. That's actually genius. That's my father. Contingencies for his contingencies. 31 hours. We need to find internet access, log in, and reset the timer. And then retrieve layers 5 and 6, one thing at a time. First, we make sure the dead man's switch doesn't go off accidentally. Agreed. We left the Ashford Hotel at 3 a.m. The rain had stopped. The city was quiet. In my bag, the journal, the USB drives, the credentials for a weapon my father had built from beyond the grave. A dead man's switch, the ultimate contingency. As long as we kept checking in, the council couldn't touch us without triggering the release. But it also meant we could never stop running, never stop hiding, never stop being exactly one missed check-in away from chaos. My father's final gift. Leverage, and a prison made of code. We found a 24-hour internet cafe in Midtown, used a burner laptop, logged in with the credentials from the envelope. The interface was simple. A countdown timer. A button that said check in. A status indicator showing the encrypted packages, dormant but ready. I clicked the button. The timer reset. 72 hours. We had 3 days. 3 days to retrieve layers 5 and 6. 3 days to figure out our next move. And somewhere out there, the council was hunting us. 48 hours until they found the cabin. Less, maybe, now that we'd surfaced in the city. The clock was running in both directions, and we were caught in the middle. And that is where we leave Marcus and Desiree tonight. Armed with a dead man's switch. Racing to retrieve the final layers. The council closing in from one side. The countdown clock ticking from the other. 2 episodes remain. 2 more nights together. I have to ask you something. How are you feeling about this story? About Marcus and Desiree? About the choices they're making? I see the comments. I read them all. And I want to know, is this landing the way I hope it is? Are you feeling what I'm feeling when I tell this story? Drop a comment. Let me know. Tell me what you think happens next. Tell me who you trust and who you don't. Because tomorrow night, the evidence goes public. Episode 11. The Broadcast.